I have had a manuscript put together for quite a while about the organic marketing process. What was always missing from this manuscript, for me anyway, was some of the case studies and ways that it could be applied to business that did it in a way that was wildly successful. Throughout our trainings and seminars, we talked to a lot of people about organic marketing and how they could apply it to their business. And what we've found now is with the Ask the Pool Guy and Legendary Escapes companies that we've applied the process to, we have a lot of really strong examples and case studies of how everything worked. So let's talk about first how we even thought to apply these concepts that we were teaching to the swimming pool company.
Well, when we were first teaching this process to other businesses, I think that was helping us clarify what the process was. But it wasn't until me being burned out and not wanting to be a part of the business and really trying to distance myself from it. We did a presentation to CEOs, had come from around the country to our place, and we're doing a why CEOs should get involved in the social media world. Again, roll back a number of years where nobody wanted to touch social media because no one wanted to be transparent. CEOs and that C-suite executive, it was very difficult for them to embrace it, thinking, I've got to share my whole business with the world in that way. So we had done this presentation, and several of the people there knew that we also had another company. We had the pool business, and had questioned, well, if you're so good at this and teaching this, why don't you do it for the pool business? And I remember when those words came out of the guy's mouth, I looked at the guy next to me and said, because I just don't want to, I'm just burned out. I'm just tired of the industry. I was tired of pools. But what that did for me, I think, is it sort of set the seed. Oftentimes we think a seed has to blossom instantly. In this case, it was just a seed of, what if? What if I went back at it and became full into the industry like I once had submerged myself before and said, but I do it my way? What would that look like? If I could be really the master of my own design, what would that be? And it was that little spark that I think several months later, I remember saying to you, we need to take a fresh look at this. And at that point, we looked at it, and I think we both agreed. You can share your opinion on that, but I know that where I was at was I was just tired of that thing that was just, it felt like it was beating me down. But this gave me a whole new fresh outlook that if we did it in a different way that's never maybe been done before, marketed in such a way that it allowed us to deal with people that we wanted to deal with, not just anybody who called, all of those little pieces started to make sense. And I know that's when I came back to you and said, what if? And that what if conversation turned into a whole new concept of what the company could be.
That what if question prompted us to take our own company ideas and put them together on the organic marketing board. So what we started with, and Al is talking about this redefining process, what we did was take a look at if we relaunched the pool company in a new way, in a new direction, what would that look like? So we used the organic marketing tic-tac-toe board to go through some of those discussions, starting with that concept of you. We had to really think about what we wanted the pool company to look like. And when we went through this discovery, what we found out was there was actually two parts to the business. There was the Legendary Escapes building swimming pool side, and there was the Ask the Pool Guy online presence. And we really started to develop the Legendary Escapes side first. So what we decided when coming back to what should the pool company look like, it was really Al and his artistic desire to change the world of swimming pools that started the whole thing.
There were a couple things that happened in that center square of the organic marketing board is you. And you being defined as an individual person or company. In our case, it was Legendary, let's talk Legendary Escapes versus Ask the Pool Guy. It was Legendary Escapes, what is it? Now, most people, and I say most, just being that we've dealt with a lot of companies on the marketing end and getting a handle on how people do business, is most people come up with a product, some known product, and then they go and they just try to find customers for it, which is all I'd ever done in the past. I think what the experience of spending time in that U square was, who am I what do I really want to do? Not what do I have, because I can do a lot of different stuff. We could have framed it around making any kind of thing that I have the skills to make, I have a lot of skills to do stuff, but the difference was, what is it that I want to do? What is it that makes me so happy that I can't wait to get out of bed in the morning and do it every day? If we could build a company around that, that would keep me happy all the time. So that center square to me was very much that. I have a skill set. I can build all these different types of pools, construction, management. We got all of that. We can do concrete work. We can do all these different things. We could do theming. We could do, how many times have people said, well, you should do theme parks, and you should do, there's a million different things we could do. But it really came down to, who am I? And you're a part of the who am I part of this, but I'm talking me very personally is, who am I? And the core of this is going to be the thing that I do for the rest of my life. What is that thing? And if I could define that thing and say, that's what makes me so happy. And that's why when you look at our marketing, it's focused around a very tight niche thing. Once we had the thing that I knew that I wanted to do, then we started looking at who would be attracted to that. That was a whole lot different than going, I got this thing, now let's go find people. Instead it was, let's not just start with the thing, let's define what the thing is going to be. We didn't have one sitting there we could look at. It's not like we go, oh, there's our thing. Instead it was conceptually, what is that thing that I want to do?
We decided the thing that Al wanted to do was build really creative, interesting swimming pools that were based around art, based around using concrete and sculpting, creating a backyard experience that the pool became almost secondary. There was this beautiful pool full of water, but a lot of the elements that tied the yard together helped to create an experience of how people felt, how they could enjoy it with their families, how they could entertain. So it became a swimming pool centered in the midst of theming, artistic elements, reclaimed eco-friendly materials. That's what the core became, a boutique swimming pool firm.
Even more important, almost more importantly than that, or maybe equally as important, is, yeah, the pool is the vessel that sort of ties it all together. It's the anchor that holds all of this together. But it's how can we use materials that have once been used for something else, you're talking about the reclaim, and use them in a new way and create something. And that became very important. But a step I think that's almost even more important is the emotion attached to it. How can I take this stuff, this raw material of stuff, wherever it comes from, and help you as the homeowner experience find yourself in a new place, mentally, emotionally, physically. So it's not just about the visual, it's not just about that, it's the full-on experience of taking you through a process. And the process is, my intention for the process is for it to be like nothing you've had before, like no contractor would have done before. So is it a pool? Yeah, but that's just the spark that ignites this whole emotional and energetic connection. And that's really what insights helped me develop and understand about me as a person throughout all the experiences of teaching and talking and all the presentations we did throughout the country about all kinds of different things helped me get really clear from an emotional connection, as well as a lot of the internal work. That Youth Center Square is a lot about working through your own stuff, which we all have stuff. And so the pool, when it came down to it, is just the spark of this whole energetic package that ends up being a really cool pool, but it becomes the experience that everyone has while doing it. It becomes the experience of through the process, but then after the story that is told afterwards. And it is a pool, but it could be anything. It wouldn't have to just be a pool. It could be anything that we were working on. The pool happens to be my industry, the thing that I love so much. So does that make sense in terms of
It does
experimental?
make sense.
Okay.
It does make sense. And one of the things that happened when we started to get really clear, because Al wanted to bring this type of art into the world, and we're talking a lot about him in this conversation. My part of this was the marketing part. I have a background in psychology, marketing, and business administration. So applying what I love to do, which nothing makes me happier than opening a box full of new marketing materials or putting together a message and having the phone ring. So part of my story becomes intertwined with this, but for the sake of the discussion, we're focusing a lot on the art of what the swimming pools are. It was really interesting. Once we defined what that piece was that really made Al's heart sing, then all of the rest of the pieces started to fall into place. It became a lot easier every time we did this process on deciding what fit and what didn't fit, on how to attract people into working with us in the company that believed in the vision that we were bringing forward. And then it also became a whole lot easier to explain to clients what it was that we were looking to do. The clearer we were in that center square, the easier that things became. In the center square too, when defining what it is that you do, keep in mind to be very specific. And I know this is a point of fear for a lot of people, which I know that you went through a little bit of that as well, Al.
Lots of
The clearer you become in the work that you want to do or what your company stands for, the more that you can recognize when calls come in or when people contact you that just don't fit. And sometimes there's that little feeling that bubbles up inside that says, uh-oh, if I say no to this, where's my guarantee that the thing that I want is going to be there? And all I can tell you from personal experiences, you've just got to stay true to that. Keep going. Of course, along the way, you're probably going to say yes to some things that don't necessarily fit, and that's fine. Because even today, there's some things that we do because it's right in front of us and it makes sense, even if it might not be spot on with that core.
I think what happened, and you've witnessed this through watching me through that process of maybe saying no to something that skills to do it, capable of doing, absolutely, but not doing it. And I would jerk back into that old way of, but it's work, it's in front of me, I can make money at it, instead of stepping back and going, yes, but there's something else that can be done. And I'm sure you've witnessed that in me many times, get anxious about, but there is no guarantee that it's coming. And yet, with really good marketing and understanding that, it is coming, it always is coming. But there's that no man's land in between where the space gets a bit scary, because the same old tapes in our heads go to playing about, oh, but we should be working, oh, but we gotta keep guys working, we gotta make money, we gotta blah, 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 all that crap that's in our head. And yet, being able to understand exactly what you want makes it so much easier to say no. And I'm not saying that I don't need to jerk back into that sometime and think, oh, that's something we could do. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And that's a tough one for me, because I've got the skill set to do it. But there's a time and a place for doing those other things. And I think that center score has helped crystal clear. And then once you've done that, it's helped me crystal clear, but once we've done it, I've had to go back through it again to remind myself. Because, again, for almost 30 years, I've done this thing that made money, that whatever, but it didn't necessarily make me feel the way this makes me feel. And to keep myself in that, I have to go back to that center square all the time and look into myself and say, if you're in the center square, Al, yourself, and then go through the process. Now we can do it as a company, or you can do it very much individually. And we've all done that work individually and together to say what's really important. And that's, I think, the key piece to me in all of this. We can talk about all the styles and techniques and whatever to market, but I think that key most people forget is themselves, the core of their company. What is that thing? And once you get that thing, it is so much easier to say no to a customer. Not that you want to say no to anyone, but when they don't fit that core, it's okay. You've now given yourself, here's why we don't do it, and it feels okay to let go of them. Pass them on to someone else that can take care of them.